It's Ash from Super Videos back for another Q&A video. This is going to be Q&A number 36. So, as always, if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead's TV show and comic book, you may not want to watch this video because things may be spoiled for you. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to say I'm going to reveal the latest logo that I have for this channel at the end of this video. So if you're interested to see the latest logo, stay tuned till the end of the video and I'll reveal the next logo for this channel. I'm probably gonna stick with this logo that I'm gonna reveal for a while, so I'm not gonna change it again for a while, but I just came up with a new one and I'm gonna reveal it. So let's get right into this questions. Let's start with the Walking Dead's TV show questions. The first question comes from TheBlackAntiHero. They ask, what states, locations would you like to see Rick and gang go? So I think it'll be pretty cool to see Rick and gang go somewhere in the West Coast or the East Coast, maybe somewhere near New York or maybe California or something like that. Now, I'm not in the US, so I don't really know about the geography of the US states or what would be cool to see, but just from another perspective, from someone who's not in the US, it would be cool to see them go somewhere in the New York area or maybe to California or maybe Texas even. The next question comes from TheGamingWolf. You ask, if Owen, in brackets Alpha Wolf, was to survive No Way Out, how far do you think he'd make it in the show? Do you think he would have died when the Saviors came or maybe survived? Owen seemed interesting and a character that could have been redeemed for what he did. So I think even if he did survive, I don't think he would be with the group. I think he would just go away. I don't think we would ever see him again. But in terms of how long he would have survived, I don't think he would have survived for long because he was the only person from his group and he had no one else, and he wasn't the type of character that would fit in a group, and that's why I think he would have died soon after he left or survived that arc. Now, in terms of him redeeming himself, I don't think he would ever be able to redeem himself. At the end, there was that moment that we did see him try to redeem himself, those last few seconds before he died, but I don't think he would ever redeem himself and fit in with any group. The next question comes from Final Mystery T. You have two questions. The first one, has Negan lost his scary intimidation aura, or do you see him as a comedy character? So for me, Negan is both. He is a comedic character when he needs to be, and he's an intimidating and scary guy when he needs to be as well. And I don't think he's really lost his scary intimidation factor. I think Negan is still the scary guy he was back when we met him, and he is a comedic guy when he needs to be, so I don't think anything's changed. But he has begun to lose his leadership role at the Sanctuary and between the Saviors, mainly because there's a lot of things that we see, subtle things with the sub-leaders that Negan has, that gives us an idea that something may be going on and that Negan is slowly losing the intimidation factor that he had between the Saviors themselves. But that's a great question. The next question you have is, why has Negan not had lookouts to watch Rick in case he tries to do anything, like what he's doing now? So I think that's because Negan really thought he broke Rick. He didn't think that Rick would ever do anything again. Nobody has ever done anything or tried anything, and I don't think Negan thought that Rick would. So that's why he didn't do that, and that in itself shows that Negan is not a good leader, because if he was a good leader, he would probably think of situations like this. But that's another great question. The next question comes from Blee Lawrence. They ask, when will Michonne die? Because all of Rick's other women have died. So, not for a while. I think Michonne is gonna live for a long, long time. Michonne is not like Lori. Michonne is not like Jesse. Michonne is a tough woman. She's able to take care of herself, and that type of a character or person in this world will be able to live for a long, long time. So expect Michonne to be with Rick for a few seasons. I don't think she's gonna die anytime soon. The next question comes from Jacob Colon. They ask, how will Daryl die? By a walker, killed by Negan, get an arrow through the eye, or just get shot? If you're asking which way I want Daryl to die, it doesn't matter exactly the scenario, but I want him to die in a way that is heroic. I want him to die saving others. That's the main thing. If that involves sacrificing himself and basically dying by being in the middle of a herd, that's okay. If it means Negan killing him, that would be okay. If it means Dwight shooting him through the eye, that would be okay. Or if it means him just getting shot, that would be perfectly fine as well, as long as he dies in a heroic fashion. Now, that being said, I don't think Dwight should kill him. Because if Dwight was to kill Daryl and shoot him through the eye with the arrow, there's no way they're gonna redeem him. So, if they want to redeem Dwight, they should stay away from Dwight killing Daryl. Because if they do that, then they may as well just throw Dwight's character out the window. Because there's no way that fans will ever forgive Dwight for what he's done. Right now, there is still that gray area where Dwight is still in the gray area. But if he does kill Daryl and shoot him through the eye, he'll be just as bad as Negan to fans, especially Daryl fans. So that's why I think maybe getting shot or being surrounded by walkers or just being killed by Negan would be better ideas. The next question comes from Jig Almandrez the Goose. You have 3 questions. The first one, what if Alden Richards will have a cameo role on The Walking Dead? Would that be cool? So I have no idea who Alden Richards is, so I can't really comment about that. The next question you have, do you think Patrick Warburton would be perfect for the Negan role? So I think he is more of a comedic character. I don't think he would fit in during the more serious parts for Negan. So that's why I don't think it would be a perfect role. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan is the perfect role. He's done a phenomenal job as Negan, and I think that was a perfect choice on their part for that character. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan is the best, and that's what they have, so I'm cool with it. The next question you have is, do you think Carol will meet Negan and have an interaction with him? I hope so. I definitely hope that's the case. I want to see how Carol reacts to Negan. I want Carol to have a badass moment in front of Negan, and maybe Negan comment about it and say something along the lines of, you're a badass, or something like that. I want them to be on screen together. We've never seen Negan and Carol on screen together, and I think that's one of the things I really want to see, along with Morgan and Negan on screen. That would be pretty cool to see as well. The next question comes from 0718 Dragonlord. You have 2 questions. The first one, what would happen if Rosita succeeded in her assassination attempt on Negan? So if Rosita was successful in killing Negan, I don't think anything would change in terms of the functioning of the Saviors. I think the Saviors have a system and there's like a hierarchy, and Negan made it so that when he dies, nothing changes. Someone is going to take over. And knowing that Simon is Negan's right-hand man, I think that Simon would just take over and do what Negan has done and continue that trend. Now, he might even be worse than Negan, who knows? And I think at that time when Simon would become the leader of the Saviors, then Dwight would probably become his right-hand man. But other than that, I don't think anything would really change between the Saviors. If anything, it might even get worse. The next question you have is, how long do you think the US military held out against the walkers, and do you think there's anyone left? So, I don't think they held out against the walkers for long. I think in Fear the Walking Dead, we did get a snapshot of that whole arc, so we kind of know what happened there. I don't think they were able to hold out the walkers, and I don't think the military as an organization was able to survive for long. I think members of the military would probably have survived and may even be alive now at this time in the story, but I don't think that there's a military organization anymore. There may be, but I just don't think that that's the case. At least not around where the survivors are right now. Now let's move on to the Walking Dead's TV show / comic book questions. The first one comes from Jacob Colin. You have 2 questions. The first one, is Jerry going to take Richard's death? It makes sense because Benjamin and Richard are dead and Jerry is not in the comics. So I could see them go that route for sure, but it's not a done deal kind of thing. I think Jerry may take over Richard's comic storyline or he may not. I personally like the character. I want him to survive for longer than that, maybe even after the war, but we're gonna have to see what they do. The next question you have is, will Simon take David's death? So you're talking about Scary Davy or the Davy or David from the Savior side that was kind of being a pedophile and being creepy to Enid in one of the episodes, and he was the one that beat Aaron up. So I don't think so. I think David's gonna get his own comic death in the TV show as well. And I don't think anything's gonna change. I think that Simon is gonna die during the war, maybe even by the end of the war, not at the beginning of the war or in the middle of the war. I think Simon will probably be alive for most of the war. The next question comes from TheGamingWolf. Do you think Jadis is a character that can survive all-out war, New Beginning, and maybe the Whisper War? Since she or her group are not in the comics, it's hard to predict what's going to go down with her. So I agree that it's hard to predict, but I don't think that Jadis is a character that could survive long. She's not as strong as a leader or a character to survive for that long. Being more specific with the war, I think if Jadis makes it to the war, I would think that she's gonna die pretty early on. I think Jadis and her group are background characters that are going to die during the war pretty quickly. The next question comes from Final Mystery T. What is your take on the Alpha Jadis theory? Could she become Alpha? Would it work? Everything is possible. They can definitely have Jadis become Alpha, but I don't think it works. There's a lot of things specific to Alpha that we have not seen with Jadis. There are some small similarities for sure, but there's a lot of pieces that are missing with Jadis' character in terms of connecting to Alpha. So I don't think it would work. And it's way too early to bring Alpha in the TV show. I don't think they're gonna bring her in this early. It just doesn't work in this story. Now let's move on to the Walking Dead's comic book questions. We only have one. It comes from Royals King 35 Royal. And they ask, what if the Ohio group is not from Ohio? What if they are close to Alexandria, or they are the Saviors or the Whisperers? That's possible, but we've not seen any hints about that. I think there's no reason for them to lie. There is no reason for Stephanie, the girl on the radio, to lie to Eugene about where she is or who she is. So I definitely think that we should take that at face value and assume that the Ohio group are actually from Ohio. We still don't know if they're good or bad, but I think that we should probably just assume that they're from Ohio and not anywhere close to where the survivors are at the moment. That's it for this Q&A video. So now it's time to reveal the latest logo, but I'm not going to talk a lot about that. I'm just going to show you. So here you go. This is the logo. There's going to be two logos. This is going to be the logo that I'm going to have at the bottom of my videos, and this logo here is basically going to go on the channel itself. So it'll be a bit different, but both are basically the same thing. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want to participate in my next Q&A video, write your questions in the comment section below. Make sure to put Q&A before your comment so I can find it. I'll be back for another video.